Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Ratliff Mandolins weekly production diary. We are in between batches right now, and I'm going to spend part of the time this week on the repairs that have built up in between the batches. And I have a guitar and a couple of 3 or 4 mandolins here to work on. The guitar was an Epiphone that just simply needed to have the action adjusted at the nut and at the bridge. Here's a little bit of footage of that job after it's finished. And now we have these mandolins here. I've got basically 4 mandolins. 2 of them I built and 2 of them I didn't. The 2 that I didn't, this one needs to have a fret job, and I've got the fretboard planed and it's ready to have the new frets installed, and we'll do that in just a second. This one was one that I built that the fretboard was becoming unglued and needed to be peeled off and then re-glued. I've got that, plus a lot of other things. It's had a couple of cracks and stuff that need fixing, and we're right in the middle of that. This was another one that I didn't build, and it had some issue with its fretboard where the frets were not in the right place, so we're going to replace that fretboard with one that I've cut the fret slots in, and I know they're in the right place. And another one there that I built that is kind of collapsing underneath the tailpiece, and we're going to put a patch under that, a reinforcement patch. So the thing to do right now is to put frets in this one. So let's do that. Well, this repair is done. Ready to move on to the next one. And the next one will be this Ratliff R5 mandolin. It was my 93rd mandolin, built in 1989, and it's had a lot of good use and a lot of wear and tear, a lot of nicks and dings and cosmetic issues. But once I've taken it apart, the actual playability issues are not that bad. It's had one crack here along this base side F-hole, which I fixed. The little Mickey Mouse ear thing here is gone, and we're not going to worry about that. Cosmetics are not an issue. The keys had some busted buttons and stuff, which I've replaced, and the fretboard was coming unglued, and I have taken it off and cleaned everything up, so we're ready now to glue this fretboard back on. And I think after the fretboard is on, we're going to have to plane the fretboard and refret it. And other than that, other than it just looking a little beat up, we should have a perfectly solid playable mandolin after that. So it is ready to have the fretboard glued on. Let's do that. Now that takes care of gluing the fretboard on the Ratliff mandolin, and that leaves this one that needs its fretboard on. It is the Goose. And I have the fretboard more or less ready to glue on, but of course the fretboard gluing jig is tied up for today, so we're kind of at a standstill on that one. And so I'm going to work on this one here, which is the one that needs the patch under the top. Okay, let's have a progress report on this little mandolin that we glued the fretboard on earlier, the one with the broken off peg head. The fretboard has been glued on, cleaned up, the old frets have been pulled out, dressed flat, cleaned up, reslotted. It's ready for having frets put in, and that's what we're going to do next. And so that's the last fret in this one. All it needs now is to have the ends cleaned and smoothed off and the keys put in, and we'll be able to put strings on this one and get it on out of here. But that's not going to happen today because it is property tax time here in East Tennessee, and I'm going to try to catch that office open before it closes today and pay my property taxes. So I'm done for the day, and we'll pick up with you tomorrow. So this mandolin is finished, a little ragged and rough, but all nice and solid and a playable instrument again. So I will call that customer and let him know that it's ready to be picked up. Next thing on the job jar list is I still haven't got the fretboard glued on this one yet, so I'm going to do that right now. It is Friday afternoon. I took in another guitar this week to do basically the same thing we did with the other guitar, lower the action at the nut and at the saddle. And so I didn't get everything taken care of this week that I wanted to get taken care of, but I've still got the rest of the afternoon to work on it, and it'll bleed over into the first part of next week, the repairs will, I think, and then we'll be able to start working on the next batch of mandolins. So that we can look forward to all of that next week. Hope you'll come back and join us then. And well, that's about it. We'll see you on the next edition of the Ratliff Mandolins Weekly Production Diary. Bye now.